Welcome back to episode 6 of the ABR Access podcast. Now, I'm not just joined by Mr. Will O'Malley for the first time. I'm joined by Mr. Ned Taylor. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. Great to be here. First time at your house here, Wolf.
This is the studio.
This is the studio. I'm sure you can think of a better name, but
Wolf Den?
Wolf Den. I think that's taken,
yeah,
isn't it?
that might be taken by someone else, I think. Let's not infringe on any sort of copyright laws.
Yeah, and
straight off the bat.
We do have lots of eyes on the pod who are just keeping us on track with certain, stepping over any boundaries, so we better be careful with that kind of stuff. But off the bat, I do want to address something other than you just being here, which is a big change, especially visually to the audience watching on YouTube. Having you, a third person in the room, is big. But visually, we were joined by something pretty big last week too, and that was the side of Will's face. That was absolutely massive. For those who were watching, I did get a few comments, but I think it mostly went under the radar, Willow. But tell us what happened last week, because you were looking a little bit peachy in the video.
Yeah, look, that's courageous stuff from me last week, actually, to be honest. My tooth got infected, and I could just feel my face filling up as the whole episode went, and it was quite uncomfortable, I must say. And we then decided to go to do Murray Bridge for the gallop, and I got about halfway there, and my face was nearly going outside the window, so I thought I'd better go to get it checked. So I ended up getting into emergency dentist and had the tooth taken out and had some antibiotics, and it was about back to normal by about Tuesday, I think. But
Fighting fit.
Yeah.
Well, it was a brave effort, because those who did listen, we did have Kyle Chalmers on last week, and obviously the feedback there was great, and he did a great job. But we did get up at 4:30 in the morning to record that, and you sat there I didn't notice because I was sitting this side of you, but it was growing.
Yeah, it was. It was like another head.
Nah, but we move on. Very, very, very good to have you back on track. And Ned, obviously your first episode with us, we might go through a little bit of kind of your training, plus also you can sit through, and I guess you have a bit of knowledge, so you might be able to help us with a bit of a preview and a review of the weekend's runners. Is that fine with you?
Yeah, absolutely fine. I'll let you guys steer this ship, and I'll just chime in when you want me.
And nice to see you've dressed for the occasion. You've really done up for today. It's been good to see. Nice to see you in a white t-shirt and pair of jeans.
Nah, thanks, mate. It's been a fairly long morning, so I've just rocked my best Ellen DeGeneres outfit today.
Well, we have come from the jumpouts at Murray Bridge. We won't start there. We might start with last weekend as a bit of a review. It was Behemoth Stakes Day at Morphettville, and we also had a season launch. We touched on it last week that we were heading into Saturday with a group of about 100 heading to the Terrace Bar at Morphettville. Fantastic turnout, first of all. Really grateful for the support with that. And all the owners, it seemed like they had a really good day. I thought it went really, really well. A fair few drinks were had, which was great, and food was great. So the hospitality from that side of things with Morphettville, we're really grateful for, and support of our owners. But overall, the day, Willow, how did you see the day? Not just that, but on the track as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the season launch was great, and really good feedback from the owners, and I thought everyone had a really good time. It's a great setup there in the Terrace Bar. Like, the results on the track weren't as favourable, and that was obviously probably flattening, especially for us that put in a lot of work, and it just didn't pan out on the day. A few things worked against us, and look, the horses have come through it well, so that's the main thing. But certainly wet and woolly conditions out there, and the track was fairly tired. So
yeah, very high vibes in the Terrace Bar. I'd walk down to the mounting yard. Very low vibes following the races. Obviously, the results didn't quite swing our way, Ned. But what did you kind of make of? We'll start with Shady. Obviously, he was in the Behemoth on the weekend. What did you make of his run first up in a hot race like that?
Yeah, look, I thought it was a good run. Sort of given everything that panned out on the day. We sort of knew going in we would have loved to have that extra run under his belt going into such a big race. Unfortunately, just the way things happened with trials and tracks currently, it's sort of been hard to get enough work into him. And the worry was just 1200 first up, that he was always going to sort of pull himself into the ground. Didn't help when all the other riders decided that they were going to try to get to the outside fence before the race had even started, so he was sort of left on his own. He's not a horse that's sort of been exposed to many races, so he's still learning his caper. But I thought he was game. I thought Jackson was very kind to him late, and he sort of mentioned that afterwards, which was good. The horse seems to have come through really well. So, look, I think he's going to bounce out of it. I think once he gets sort of back on top of the ground, he'll certainly show his better foot when we can get on those.
Yeah, Willow, in terms of ratings and how the race rated and how he handled the track, what did you make of his run on Saturday?
Yeah, I don't have much more to add. Just disappointing. Horrible setup. It was evident the outside of the track was a place to be. He's left on his own and just overdoing it. So, look, it's just a clear forgive. Certainly no ratings, nowhere near his best rating. So that's evident on the ground. Just put a line through it. Basically, we just got to find dry tracks for him, which is easier said than done at this time of year. But we've kind of come up with a plan now, and look, he's come through it well, which is the main positive, and I think he's going to improve a lot.
Yeah, and congrats to Connor and the connections of Surnow. He's been a very good horse this preparation. Nice to see him get a big race under his belt on Saturday. The other runner that we did have going around was Metrical. I think he was in the lucky last for Matt Chadwick. Was he in the last? We had to wait around all day. Maybe second last, race 8. It was the last in my mind because I'd checked out by then. What did you make of his run? We'll start with you this time, Ned.
Thanks. You started with me last time, but we can run that again.
Well, I'm just trying. It's off-putting to have 3 people in the room.
Come on, mate. Switch on off.
That's all right, mate. Obviously, numbers weren't your suit, school teacher background and all. But right, no, he was good. Look, I think he's just another one who's found these tiring tracks of just sort of starting to get the better of him now. He's a good wet tracker. What we're sort of finding at the races currently are sort of tracks that are beyond wet. They're sort of tired. They're hard work. He sort of come through it a little bit tight and sore. He's that sort of can happen. But obviously, I think he'll bounce back. I think if we can find just, a surface that's just a bit more accommodating, sort of space him again. He's probably got another, 1 or 2 runs this prep before he needs a break. But, yeah, he gives his all. He's just sort of finding that he probably wants that bit further than 1,200 as well now.
Before the races, Will, you walk the track, and Ned, you might be able to add something as well. How would you compare kind of that track and the way it raced on Saturday being very tired and kind of patchy to when you get into the deep into the winter and you've got quite heavy rain-affected ground? Was it kind of a little bit different on Saturday? Because Metrical, as you said, has been one that has handled wet going. But how does that compare to how it raced on Saturday being really tired?
Well, it's just totally different because they hadn't had much rain during the week. There wasn't a huge amount of rain during the week. But because they're getting so much, there's been a lot of meetings over the top of the tracks. The grass is dying off. There's no heat around to give you some new growth, and they fill it with sand, obviously, to make sure the marking is covered up so it's an even surface. But that means you're basically racing on a sand track, and there's not clear, even surface anywhere apart from where the outside fence was. We walked that, and we said, it was actually, there was no marking there, and that's where everyone ended up going, and it was basically a fast lane out there. So, yeah, when he ran, a lot of his races on those heavy tracks or ran really well, they had just had rain that week, and they were quite wet and even muddy. To explain it, they're not really muddy at the moment. They're just really dead and tired and filled with sand. So it's a bit different.
Yeah, there was a lot of commentary around the track on Saturday, and it was just interesting to see because I know the likes of Metrical do handle a wet track, but it was a little bit different the way that it raced on Saturday. Other than that, anything else to take away from Saturday's season launch and race day? I don't think we have anything else, do we?
Nah, I think it's just... Yeah, look, honestly, I probably wanted to touch on just it is really, when we go to the races on a day like that, we want to have good results, and it is hard to cop sometimes, and especially, I know there's not much, more we could do with all the rain and the recent racing, but it's just really hard when you've got one lane where everyone wants to get to, and you saw Cameron Willer in the last from the 1,600 metre start sit on the outside fence. I've never ever seen that in my time watching races, and I've watched a lot of races, and it was quite crazy, really. Yeah,
and as you said, it's not nice to go out there and have expectations to run good races, and you come back a little bit disappointed. I don't think there's anyone that dislikes losing more than we do, but on an ownership front, I was really happy with how the day panned out with the season launch and the turnout there. It was great. We might move to you, Ned. We might have a chat to you prior to getting into this weekend's runners. I've got some questions written down just about you and kind of your time before you came to ABR and obviously your time with us now. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your background, your upbringing? Did you come from a racing family? I think Will gave me a bit of a tip-off that you might have quite a large family. Do you want to give us a bit of insight into that?
Yeah, so I grew up with a very large family. I'm the eldest of 9.
Can you rattle them off, Will?
I can rattle them off, yeah.
9 siblings.
9 siblings.
Edward, Gertrude.
So this is Edward.
Edward, Gertrude, Francis, Joseph, Martha, Winifred, Ursula, Leonardo, or is it Leo? Leonardo?
Just Leo.
Leo, and Alphonsus.
Your parents have gone to the dictionary for those names, or they sound like names out of the Bible.
Yeah, Bible.
Don't know that Bible. Probably more of a...
They've got very creative there.
I'd be thinking if you sort of look back to some sort of English, like Mr. Darcy sort of movies, those sort of vibes, I think they were Mum's sort of books that she would have red growing up. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you're one of 9. Did you grow up? Was they a racing background? I know that you mentioned a couple of them there. I think maybe potentially a couple of your siblings might have gone on and spent a bit of time in front of the camera as well.
Yep, certainly. So my sister Gertie, she's far more equipped in front of a camera with a microphone than I am. Certainly fills the frame a little bit better than me. I fill the frame. She sort of looks a bit better in it. But yeah, look, growing up, my dad and Will's dad were very good mates. Will's dad and grandpa were obviously bookies. My dad would try his best to take money off him and quite often fail. However, yeah, we sort of grew up. We'd go down to Victoria Park and things like that as youngsters. But yeah, never really grew up in a racing family as such, more a punting family. Certainly beyond dad. His mum, Kush, as we called her, she was a mad punter. So, look, she lived up in Springfield and she'd sit there with Sky Racing pretty well flat out all day. So, look, it was in our blood early. I had a few stints at university before sort of making my way to Melbourne. Once we sort of got over to Melbourne, myself and a good friend of mine, Harry, we sort of moved over there, started living there, and sort of just took up a job as a stable hand, basically, working for Ciaron Maher at the time.
And was that your first kind of exposure to racehorses themselves other than just the punting side?
Yeah, 100%. So I'd worked with animals a lot growing up. I had grandparents at a sheep farm over on the York Peninsula. Done a bit of work with Harry, with his old man, with some cattle, and then just dad working at the vet clinic and doing a bit of cattle work with him as well. But yeah, racehorses, my first sort of experience was in Melbourne. So I was fortunate enough to land in a very good stable. Sort of did a 2-week trial at the end of it. Ciaron basically said, if you want to stay, I'll pay for the last 2 weeks. And from there, I started working mornings while I was still at uni. Quickly fell out of uni again. I was sort of...
Why?
Distraction? Look, I'd get up early. Obviously working pretty early in racing. We'd sort of get up at 3:30, work through till 9:30. I'd drive an hour out to La Trobe University. And on probably more than one occasion, I actually woke up snoring in the lecture theatre with my books on the floor and everyone looking at me. So, look, quickly realised that my interests lay elsewhere and my attendance was never great at uni, to be honest. So, yeah, I sort of took on the racing bug and, yeah, stuck it out there.
And you said that, so you got your kickstart with Ciaron. Did you just kind of work your way through just gaining experience there? Tell us about your time with Ciaron, just like briefly to start off with, and then we might touch on some of the specifics with horses and what you dealt with there.
Yeah, look, it was sort of by chance, you know, like Ciaron was quite young at the time. He was sort of probably just turning 30, I think, when I started with him. He had quite a small team, him and Ian Gilchrist and a few others. Basically he started with 16 horses when I started with him, and it just grew really rapidly. It was just a great place to be. Had a lot of really good horses that got to sort of work with, and sort of I grew as he grew and sort of learnt as much as I could from people around him. He sort of always had good people around him working for him, and yeah, it just basically just kept growing. And
so you basically put Ciaron Maher Racing on your back and gave him the kickstart he needed.
Look, I don't think I could claim that, no.
That's what it sounded like. What are some of the horses that he had at the time, just while we're on Ciaron, that you had a bit of experience working with? Was there any that kind of people might know out there that you got to handle a little bit around the stables?
Yeah, absolutely. He had some very nice horses. Early days, the likes of Bash Boy, Regina Sholey, very good jumpers. They were very different, like it's very different work. Learning how to sort of get them fit, it was, you know, incredible the amount of work that they'd put in to actually get those horses to the races, and the work that Ciaron would do with them. Moving on from there, he had a couple of really good mares in Shrikandi, Chloe and Paris. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how many people would remember
I'm sure
her.
He will.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, some nuffies like Will would remember her. She was a very fast mare. And then following that, he had some really good success with a couple of Oaks mares in Jamaica and Set Square, and that sort of really kickstarted things for him.
And what are some of the biggest learnings that you've brought from your time with Ciaron to training on your own or in partnership with Aaron?
Patience is the main one, yeah. So Ciaron was a very good horseman, really, really patient. And, yeah, the main sort of takeaway with everything that he did was that you just had to take your time, never rush anything. Let the horse sort of come into themselves and sort of treat them how you want to be treated, and hopefully they repay you in the end.
Will, do you want to touch on Ned's time moving towards ABR and that kind of thing, because you've been a part of it as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, coming over once you were there for what, 9 years? Is that right?
Just under 7.
7 years. 7 years. So we missed you. Obviously, I used to come over and visit you a few times. It was a pretty cool experience.
What would have happened on a weekend when you would come and visit Ned?
We'd go to the races. We'd do lots of things. Wouldn't sleep much.
I'll try to get a bit of a scoop out of you. So I'm wondering if you were saying what you were up to.
No,
Best
it was
we,
good.
just leave that in the past, I think.
Yeah, no, it was good fun though, and it was very, very cool to obviously go to the races with him and be around Ciaron and some really nice horses. Obviously, Jamaica was one of my favourites, and I remember Ned actually came over back to Adelaide one day, and I think it might have been when she won the size. She won that 1400 metre size, I reckon, and he tipped it to me, and I was looking at the form. I'm like, what's this bloke talking about? I don't think.
A bit like now with him.
Yeah, and it just comes out and brained them and ended up being a Caulfield Cup winner and a freak of a horse. So yeah, he was onto it early, but yeah, it was pretty cool. Obviously, growing up following Ned, and I've obviously just got the racing passion, and he's kind of given me a huge leg up into the game, and I'm very appreciative of that, because I wouldn't be where I am without Ned, and he's taught me a lot. So obviously, since you came over, you ended up teaming up with Aaron, and started small. How have you found, I guess, the build from was it Finch and Chips, our first winner, and was it that Narracourt or Bordertown?
Bordertown,
Yeah.
Finch and Chips, I believe. Anna Yusha in the saddle,
Yep.
from memory, I think. Little chestnut mare came over from Victoria. Look, I think she actually only won the one race for us.
Yeah.
In the end, bit of a funny little mare, but yeah, we got her to win a maiden, which was good. Yeah.
How did you come about? How did you meet Aaron for the first time and kind of get into a training partnership?
It was actually Sam Pritchard Gordon who put us in touch. Aaron had sort of had a bit of dealings with him when he was getting his training license.
Sam of Cornerstone Stud as well. That's where he's known.
Yeah. So currently managing Cornerstone Stud in the Barossa there. He put us in touch. Aaron and I sort of caught up. I was actually up in Port Pirie of all things, doing a bit of recruitment work, sitting in an office, which I wasn't exactly loving, but it was work, But yeah, so he put us in touch. I caught up with Aaron. It was a pretty simple conversation from there. I'd sort of taken a step away from racing, but needed to know that if I was going back into it, it was going to something that was going to build. I'd spoken to Ciaron probably a few times since I'd sort of been back in Adelaide, and he just sort of reminded me that if you're going to do it, always be around someone who wants to grow, someone who's going to make you better, and who's going to really sort of push you forward. And so, look, when I spoke to Aaron, it was basically that conversation. It was like, if you want to train half a dozen, I'm happy to give you some pointers that, help you out, a few phone calls here and there. If you want to do something bigger than that, let me know and we can work it out. And Aaron, being Aaron, he's a forward-thinking man. He wanted to shoot for the stars, and so it sort of grew from there. Early days, it was pretty grim goings. We were sort of training half a dozen that we were driving into Gawler every day. Some very limited specimens, to say the least. But yeah, it sort of picked up wind. We sort of started buying a few yearlings, buying a few tried horses, and yeah, certainly the team has grown from there.
And obviously, so you didn't start off with Anguston Park, but now we've transitioned our stable, almost fully to there, and now we're obviously transitioning towards Murray Bridge as well. But how have you found working at Anguston? Obviously a very historic property. Have you enjoyed your time coming out there? Because you're out there nearly every day at the moment, or definitely in the last 6 months to a year, you've been out there nearly every day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's incredible sort of seeing the history around the place. It's been challenging. It's sort of completely new to sort of what I have, what I was brought up around, I guess. Certainly sort of Ciaron, when I worked for him, most of that was at Caulfield at the racecourse there. He obviously has stables now at Ballarat, New South Wales and everything. But hill work and things like that is a completely new sort of ball game. Will's been really good working with the data and stuff and trying to sort of pick up on that. And yeah, I think we've sort of found that in the past when we had that balance between Gawler and Anguston, it sort of can really work really well. You give horses plenty of options to sort of perform and keep their minds ticking over, which is an important thing. But yeah, certainly Anguston's a lovely place. It brings that aura about it when you get up there. The horses certainly enjoy it up there. They do very well. And then, it's just about sort of building on that, getting him very fit, using the hill, and then sort of trying to freshen him up from there.
And quickly off the top of your head, your favourite memory or favourite horse from your time with Aaron so far, and then maybe your biggest challenge so far with like your training with Aaron in partnership. It can be a favourite horse or race in particular.
Favourite horse would probably have to be Wonder Woman, I think. She's still on the property. Just a lovely mare, very fast mare, a mare that sort of did a really good job by us. Was always put in 100%, but would be the quietest animal to deal with outside of that as well. Look, we've had a number of fun horses to work around with as well. Like Toyetic was a good one early days. He sort of thought he was going to be a star. Really sort of was letting us down early, and then as soon as we sort of got him out over trips, that sort of was the making of him. A very fun day. I was in a world of pain. I'd actually gone over back to Melbourne. Ian Gilchrist, who was sort of the head foreman at Ciaron, who I'm really good mates with, he sort of taught me a lot. He'd give us a leg up on a horse, Lena's Magic, that we bought for not much at all. And sort of we had her going. I'd travelled back to Mornington for his 40th. And she was racing on the Sunday at Mindery Halidon, which those who know where Mindery Halidon is, it's not near anything.
Beautiful place, though.
Beautiful place. Anyway, following an all-nighter over in Melbourne, I've made the red-eye flight back to Adelaide, had my sister drive me out to Mindery Halidon, and we've proceeded to train a double at Mindery Halidon with Lena's Magic getting up in the last stride, and was it Glacier?
Glacier Grey,
Glacier
maybe?
Grey, I think, was the other one.
Household names.
Household names, and I actually think we still hold a 100% strike rate at Mindery Halidon.
Yeah, we do.
Right?
Yeah, Mrs. Pennycraft extended that.
Yeah. So, and happy to have hunting ground. But, Gilly and all the boys back there, they'd got on, so it was a good day.
If the move to Murray Bridge doesn't quite pan out, I think we could certainly target Mindery Halidon as a bit of a training hub because we have so much success out there. But what about your biggest challenge? I know that was all kind of positive stuff. What's something that you found really tricky or challenging? You touched on the hill work. That might be a good example.
Yeah, hill work is definitely one. It's just very different. Trying to sort of get that fitness into them without overdoing it once they do get to the races. I think then the challenge, we've also sort of gone away from as many tried horses to many more yearlings and young horses. I think that in itself is always challenging. It's good fun. Obviously yearlings and 2-year-olds, throughout their careers, they offer that real hope and promise that they're going to be something big and better. It's just trying to adapt the training plans to them. But we've got some really nice horses. Things are starting to fall in place. And hopefully Murray Bridge is just sort of an extension to that. And hopefully it's a nice year coming forward.
Two things that you mentioned. You said that you grew up with a family of punters. Do you punt now?
I do not.
No, that is a surprising thing with you. If there was two things that having conversation or just having met Ned, not a punter based off this conversation, but doesn't mind a night out.
Probably a bit rusty on the nights out, but can sort of let my hair down.
And let your hair fall out, apparently.
And let my hair fall out, apparently.
I've got it on a good
angle.
Ideal
at all.
I've got it on a good angle that you can't see the whole of your hair, but for those who keep an eye on our content, there's Ned tried to blame the barber for a bit of a bald spot on his head, but anyway.
Anyway, it's up there. For those of you who aren't listening on the radio, somehow we've got some sort of stress-related alopecia happening or something. Anyway, who knows? But no, that wasn't from a night out. And look, a hand up. I have one punt a month for a punters club. That actually my brother is now running. It's a very formal punters club. Recently went to Hong Kong, which was good fun. I am still one of the worst punters in the punters club. So look, that's why I don't really punt much anymore. I soon realised when I was in Melbourne, even though I was working for one of the biggest trainers with the best strike rates, I still couldn't back a winner. So
join the club, mate. When we get to our best bet segment, you'll feel right at home because I'm pretty sure we are dishing up donuts there.
Yeah,
so
it's not going well.
We might look ahead to this weekend, although we might go... Yeah, we'll do our weekend preview, then we'll kind of review the jump outs from today. Mm-hmm. We might do a bit of Trackwork Whispers. There was a question I was going to ask you about a horse you're most looking forward to, so keep it in the back of your mind for towards the end. We might do that for our Trackwork Whispers as a horse that you want to, kind of preview. We had jump outs today, Willow. We took a small team out there. We had gallops as well. The Pagan Wizard was one that we've kind of mentioned in the past on here. Microphone Go Charlie Go, leading ride, and an interesting new horse called Dashing Red Star. What did you make of the jump outs this morning?
Yeah, all good. All got through them well. The jump outs are funny. You're looking just at the data and the times now. They just go hammer and tongs from the start. So it's like a lot of them there for different reasons. The Pagan Wizard I thought was really good. He probably overdid it a bit with how fast they went, but looking at his data, like he's gone really well. He's recovered really well, which is probably a good sign in terms of he's a horse that's going to get out in trip. So if he's gone that quick and recovered really quickly, that's a good sign. But we probably got to get him, I think Ned can touch on it a bit more as well, is to do things not so upside down, because he is going to get out and trip in time. So we want him to be able to settle and not run, I guess, on fear as much and just settle into a groove. But the jump outs that we have here is harder. That's easier said than done, given how quick they go.
Before we get into the preview, we might jump to our data just because it'll be a good segue from what you just said. So obviously you said that those jump outs at Murray Bridge, you see them go really hard and do it a little bit upside down. What does the data show you in terms of that? You touched on the Pagan Wizard, for example. Like, how would you want to see them trial jump out and race compared to how those jump outs down the back straight are kind of ran?
Well, ideally, like when we go to the do a gallop, you know, it's a building gallop. You know, every furlong's a little bit quicker, whereas the jump outs and the trials here, hammer and tongs from the start, and then every furlong's nearly slower. You know, and that one teaches horses bad habits, but it's not beneficial for the horse. I think you want them to be hitting the line strongly and doing their best work late rather than doing it early. So look, it's something that we've got to battle with a bit. I know Ned's hot on it, and we're still working with our jockeys and Jackson on that, because you know, you could go to a jump out like today and tell Jackson to do that, but then the horse is at the back of the screen and it looks poor, but it might not be poor at all. It's just the way that we want our riders to ride and what we want to get from the horse. So the data shows how quickly they go early, and then obviously they all slow down. But I guess the one takeaway today was from Pagan Wizard is how quick they went and how quickly he's recovered from that, which is a great sign for a horse that we hope gets out and trip.
From a trainer's perspective, Ned?
Yeah, I'll probably just elaborate on what it was saying, basically, like, and just for the people out there, in sort of layman's terms, when we sort of talk about a horse doing even time essentially equates to 45 kilometres an hour. So if a horse is galloping, normally their first 2 furlongs is in even time at that pace. They then progress to sort of maybe hitting the line, you know, at that 12 seconds to the furlong for the last 200, which is sort of getting closer to 60 kilometres an hour. The jump outs, what you will see more often than not, and even in the trials here, they'll be going 67 kilometres an hour for the first 200. It's just not possible for horses to maintain that. And a lot of the horses we take to jump outs, it's essentially their first hit out. Like, they've progressed from this work we're talking about of doing even time and building through it to then just going flat out. And yeah, so often it can look quite poor when they do go to the jump outs and do that, but you know, we sort of want to work around that and try and work with the riders that we use in particular and just sort of set them up to succeed when they get to the races. I know, like, if Chris Waller's a great one for it. You know, none of his horses ever run time in a gallop. I don't even think Winks ever won a trial. So, look, there's certainly ways around it, and talking to riders and using them as best we can to sort of build our horses the way we want to build them rather than just trying to go flat out.
It's funny because you do watch some of those races, and we talk about it in our review sometimes, is how slowly they are running their sit and sprints, completely backwards to how they trial and jump out. You see so many horses that, particularly at those jump outs, they jump and they just put the foot down and they weaken late. Whereas in the races, you see them jump, just find their feet, and they go so slow, and then they just dash home late. It's a bit upside down, but something we'll have to manage over the next couple of weeks, especially with Murray Bridge. We look ahead to the weekend preview. We happy to go through our runners?
Yeah.
All right. Yep. In order, you're going to have to help me out as you spill stuff on my table. That's
I was wondering when he was going to open it, to be honest. It's taken a while.
Yeah. First runner on the weekend, is it... I don't have him... Is it Officiate?
I think it is, yes.
Officiate, Jackson Murphy on. Tell us a little bit about how he's headed into the run this weekend. Ned, just him personally, and then Will, if you want to run through the race. I think he's in the market on Saturday after a couple of placings, first and second up with us, but he's got a big weight again.
Yeah, carries a big weight again. He earns that just through his rating from his races up in New South Wales. Look, he's been building really well. His first 2 runs for us were really good. Certainly think he's hitting peak fitness now. He had a very good gallop during the week off the back of a sort of jump out last week where he was very good again. So, look, I think he's coming into the race really well. Certainly gets his opportunity now, sort of over a mile. Seems to be sort of where he suits just with... his profile and his action, but he's been a good horse so far for us, I think, and he's sort of knocking on the door. I think he deserves to win one and probably go on to bigger and better things.
How does the race shape up for him, Willow? I did have a chat to Jackson this morning and asked him who he was hoping would be his next winner, and he labelled Officiate as the horse that he would like to win the most. So he's got a bit of a soft spot for him. How does the race look for him on Saturday?
Yeah, certainly. Like, it's a good race for him. Like, quite confident he's the best horse in the race. Wide draw's a bit sticky. We do have to weigh that up, I guess, just with the rail's in the 6 metre position, I believe, now. Yeah. But he's had lots of rain. So whether they're going to get off the fence, especially by this stage of the day, it might be okay for him. He's obviously got a high cruising speed. He'll probably likely go forward from there. I don't think we'd be going back. So, look, I think if he got the right run in the race, he's the horse to beat. Yes, he's got a big weight. He's earned it. There is not a huge weight spread across the whole field either. I think most of them are all on fit. Well, a lot of the bottom weights are on 57 kilos, so I'm pretty confident he's the best horse and he's in a great spot. So he should be going very close.
Yeah, really looking forward to Officiate on Saturday. That's race 5. We move on to race 6. We've got 2 more to preview, but it's Leading Impact and Blackjack, both drawn wide. Leading Impact coming off a last start win at Strath. How does he shape ahead of Saturday, Ned? What have you made of his work this week?
Yeah, he's been very good. He's certainly grown in confidence from that win there. Look, again, comes into the race fit. I think he's sort of hasn't got much more fitness to come. So, yeah, I think, it was a very good performance at Strath. It can sort of be quite daunting getting up the hill there when you're leading like that. And certainly sort of Taylor had to guide him to the best part of the track that day. So we know from his form that he sort of handles soft tracks. But, yeah, obviously we'll touch on about the draw, but I think he's been going pretty well.
Yeah, plan going ahead, he will run on Saturday, Willow, likely. What do we think?
Again, yes. Well, he's certainly, we're kind of planning on it at the moment, but things can change. Again, we're probably going to just monitor scratchings and what the track comes up as, probably Saturday morning. He's certainly, right in the race. His best form is certainly good enough to win. His last start win rated well. He carried the big weight on heavy conditions and got through well. So I don't think the tracks, in terms of the heavy track on Saturday, would be a huge concern. The main concern would just be the draw and whether you can get across with a horse that does go forward. But we're going to weigh that up, walk the track and just make sure he's going to get the right run. There's plenty of options for him in terms of his rating at the moment. So again, as Ned said, patience is key in this game. We don't need to be running him if we're not sure he's going to get the right run in transit.
And we've touched on it a couple of times. We do really like the horse, and his win last start was really good. So I think there is more wins in him. Hopefully it's this Saturday, but that draw does make it a little bit tricky. We've got one more. I think we've drawn 10, 12 and 15 on Saturday, so probably would have been the place to be last weekend with them getting to the outside fence, but it'll be interesting because they're back on the Parks this Saturday. It's not usually ideal drawing out there on the Parks track, but I think, do we need to wait to the last, or is he in race 8? Blackjack.
Yeah, race 8, I think. Yeah.
He goes around after. This is another last start winner for us. So he's looking for back-to-back wins. Blackjack, how does he kind of line up heading into Saturday? I thought his work during the week, I think it was Tuesday, galloped really well.
Yeah, another horse took a few runs to knock off his maiden, but did it in good style at Mildura. Certainly grown in confidence. His last couple of bits of work have been very sharp from what he's been producing earlier days. His coat looks great, certainly looks fit and well. Look, he'll probably get out over a bit further in time, but the way that he's sort of freshened up between runs, 12.50 doesn't worry me at all. But yeah, it's just going to be a matter of whether we think he can sort of get himself into the race from there, or whether there's other options around. He's sort of one there's plenty of races for him.
He's another one, yeah, as you just said, Ned, that there is options for him if it's not Saturday, Willow. But how does the race look? Obviously, he's been up on the speed in his 2 runs for us so far. Getting across from barrier 15 on the Parks late in the day, how does that kind of look with the rest of the race? Is there a lot of speed in it?
Looks very ugly to me. Yeah, very ugly. So, again, you'd love to be able to know exactly where they're going to get to by this stage, and if they wear off the fence, maybe you get to that spot. But the problem with, I guess, like we saw on Saturday, yes, you can be drawn wide, and that's a big advantage. But you still have to you have to be up there as well. So the horses drawn inside you that go forward, if they land in front of you and they get across in front of you into that fast lane, then again you got to do. You can't get past them basically, can you? So I'd say he'd more than likely go to either to next week and go to Ballarat or Balaclava. There's an option for him, or even next Saturday on the Parks there's an option. So we'll weigh that up. If there's lots of scratchings, with the wet track, we may look at it. If he drew well, I'd be very confident he'd be the one to beat, given his racing pattern and how well he's improved since that last win.
That does us for Saturday. We touched on it earlier, Ned, but you might want to give us one that I said Blackjack, his work on Tuesday was great. Is there one that's kind of slipping under the radar or coming up in the next couple of weeks that you're really happy with or looking forward to getting to a trial or a jump or a race day this time in?
Yeah, you got me on the spot there. Look, I think winning all round worked very well this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's certainly a good race in him. He'll sort of be starting to get nominated for races next week. He'd be one to sort of look out for. I don't think it'll take him too long to knock his maiden off.
Willow, is there one that you like that's kind of been prepping up? I thought the Pagan Wizard again this morning was quite
I was
good.
very happy with him. I think Mrs. Pennycracker next weekend.
Now we're talking.
It should set up really well for her as long as the track's not bottomless. She's in a great spot. Very unlucky last start and just continues to improve. And she's in a bit of a tricky rating spot, I guess. But I think the job that Ned and Aaron have done with her is really impressive. From getting Mirlost at Mildura first up last prep to the campaign she's had, I think she's won 2 races and been very close in a couple of others. She's a bottle of consistency, and you like to go to war with her anyway. So I think she'll be running well next week.
That brings us to the end of our weekend preview. The other thing that we want to touch on is our golf day. We've touched on it a few times over the last couple of weeks, but the kind of map is starting to become a little bit clear about what the day might look like. Willow?
Yes.
Do you want to run us through a little bit of that quickly?
Yes. So the idea is for the golf day is we're having basically an opportunity for people to sponsor a hole with their business. Now that entitles you to obviously 4 players in the golf comp, and you get your hole decked out in your merchandise. You can put up an activation there, whether I think there's some talk of even bringing a horse up there, the one that we're about to sell through the golf day, but we'll get that by the chef. But also,
not sure about that.
Just for a little bit. But and then so the idea is you sponsor the whole, get all your merchandise decked out, and from there you've got an entry into the golf day and the entry entitles you to 2% in a horse through your 4, and then you've got the option to also just buy a 4 to enter the competition. Yeah, and that's exactly the same. You get that 2% in the horse. There'll obviously be a hole-in-one, a longest drive. The winning team again gets a bit more of a percentage of the horse. The hole-in-one gets a hole-in-one gets, I think, a 5% in the horse, and the nearest to pin would get something like 2% in the horse. So we'll send out some proper details shortly, but it's going to be up at Mount Lofty Golf Course. It's in late October the 30th, I believe it is. Is that right?
Well, we've actually had a little bit of it
is the 30th
rejigging of the dates.
Yes. We originally booked it on Gawler Cup Day, which wasn't smart, but anyway, we're going to the 30th now, and very excited about it. New concept. We want to get as many people there as possible. It'll obviously be all your drinks and your food included, and I think it will be a very, very fun day.
Anything to add, Ned?
You boys going to have a hit?
Yeah, 100%. I'm actually looking forward. I think it's probably our most exciting event / activation that we've done. I'm very keen because all drinks and food included. So
I would love to have a hit. I'm kind of organising the day, but I would love to just play and not do any organising.
Actually, will we have to be walking around and helping?
Probably, yeah. Unfortunately, I haven't had a hit for a while. I basically hung the clubs up once Poppy was born, but I don't think I'll be hitting him too well at the moment.
Ned,
I think we can find a way for you boys to have a hit for
Yeah,
sure.
that'd be nice.
I think everyone wants to see it. So
we can have a team. We just need Aaron.
us or Aaron. That'd be
rough handicaps for the team here.
What's the maximum?
36.
Plenty.
36.
Plenty.
Sure.
Plenty.
Yeah, I'd be on plenty. I did maybe get down to 24, but that was probably wrong as well. So.
That's still pretty bad, isn't it?
Yeah, very bad.
What would you think?
9 horse or 18?
18 holes.
Yeah, still heaps.
Would it have mattered if I said 9?
Just a few less balls lost.
It's a brutal game, tough game. Very much like racing, actually. You know, the ups and downs of it. You know, you just need to get that little. You hit one shot, you get one winner, and
A bit of confidence.
You're like, oh, I love this thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I hit one nice, I'll be strutting around like Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
The Ambrose concept certainly brings the rank amateurs like us back into it, I think.
Okay.
It sort of gives you that option to have your 1 in 4. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it very much. So to wrap us up, as we said earlier, the best bets section.
Flying, aren't we?
We got Celtics beaten last week, but I'm half blaming that was very stiff. Very good run on the Caulfield Heath track. That I'd still follow the horse. So we got that rolled last week. This week we look ahead. Now I'm gonna step right outside of the bubble here. This is something I have not done in the best bet section. I'm going to make not only the stable's best bet, but my best bet, one of our horses. I deeply apologise to the ownership group of this horse, but I will make Officiate the best bet of the weekend. If he runs from the wide gate, I will make him our best and my best bet of the day on Saturday. In what is a very tricky day, a lot of the fancies are drawn inside gates, and if that's the place to be, they'll obviously be really hard to beat. But if it plays like it did last week, late in the day, I think a lot of the favourites do have inside gates. The likes of Bassett Babe is back on Saturday as well, which is exciting. Get Stubby aboard. Willow, your best bet of the day?
I'm staying clear of Morpheville, given
probably wise.
Yeah, how wet and tired the tracks are. I thought Arkansas Kid at Caulfield, race number 8, is a each way special. Second up, flies at Caulfield. M Zara, good draw. Can't believe we're getting $8.50 or $9 at the moment. I thought it should be about $5. So each way.
What race was that?
Race 8 at Caulfield, number 1, Arkansas Kid.
Ned, your thoughts, our best chance from the stable perspective? Because I imagine you haven't, even though you were in this punters club, I imagine you haven't branched outside of our chances.
Can't say I've looked at a form guide or a best bets in a while. So I wouldn't even know what's racing this weekend. Look, Saturday, I think they're all very good chances. I think if they run, they're all definitely each way chances, all of our runners. Obviously, we just got to decide where they're going to run. If I was going to say, one to back over the weekend, look, we still got to get through acceptances and weights and things, but maybe have a little each way bet on Flirt if she goes around next week.
I like that. I like that. That's we haven't really given Flirt much airtime on this podcast, but she did work particularly well this morning, so that's one to keep an eye on. First up, if we were going to go to Caulfield, I do like Cosmic Crusader in the group too. It's a nice horse. Star. That kind of brings us to the end, I think, gentlemen.
No cat today. Where's the cat been?
Nah, it's been good for him to not join us. It's been an absolute pleasure. But he gets as many mentions as us from people who do listen. They often come up and mention the cat, and as well as having the great opportunity to sponsor the golf day. If anyone wants to sponsor the cat as well,
good.
Get him off my hands.
Good people at Good Tides. Pirate Life. I think a few of your alumni might have ventured down that way.
Well,
mate.
I can't imagine we're going to get Pepsi Max to sponsor us, but it'd be nice.
But someone, if you just put your hand in your pocket.
Never know. We've very much enjoyed having you on, Ned.
Up to 12 listeners now as well, so
huge.
Good
reach. The Saturday, you did say that your sister spends a lot of time in front of the camera and does a very good job, but I think you've done very, very well today to sit in front of in the bright lights for the first time. So we appreciate you coming out, and you've got quite a long drive home. So thank you for coming out. It's been a big day for you because I think you've been up since the very early hours of today.
Yeah, it's been a long day. Just great to get to your humble abode here, mate. Finally experience your place.
Don't get lost on the way back to the kitchen. It's a big joint.
A bit of artwork. Maybe some lights would be good. But anyway, you've got a bit to work on. But thanks for having me. It's been very good.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you, Willow. We'll be back next week for another episode, and we appreciate all the support going forward. Good luck to the horses and the riders and the owners this weekend.
Still going well. Jeez.
Oh, well, I'm just trying to wish everyone the best.
Very good from you.
Thanks, guys.